Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, The Lowdown. Today, we're out here fishing. It's early spring. The water temperature is getting up into the upper 50s, low 60s, and the fish really want to come up shallow. They want to do their spring thing. They want to spawn. Now, they don't all spawn at the same time, obviously. They got all the stages are going on, pre-spawn, spawn, and there's some post-spawners out there, believe it or not. Some that have spawned early, and they've already moved out. But there's still a lot of spawners coming up, and I'm looking for them. But today I get out here, and I'm in a huge spawning flat right now, and there's a lot of color on the water. There was a rain earlier this week, and you know, I really didn't think it was going to stain the water up like this, but it's got a lot of color on it. Now, I know these fish are moving up in here, but I can't see them, so any of them that are spawning, I won't be able to see them. So I have to use a bait that I can get them to show themselves. You know, some of them are going to commit to it and eat it right away, but others will show themselves, and I can go back in there with some, you know, a bottom bait like a tube or a worm or a jig or something to catch them off the bed. But one of the baits that I love to use this time of year, especially when I'm in search mode, is a swim jig. And these little guys right here, you know, it's kind of common terminology these days, swim jig, but I go back with this bait probably 16, 17 years. And I learned it from an individual that I was guiding at the time. A young man drove down here to South Carolina from upper Illinois. He was up on the upper end of the Mississippi River where they have lots of grass, and they threw swim jigs. Now, he gets in the boat with me, and we're catching them on Cincos, and it was springtime of the year, and catching them on Cincos and some jigs and a couple of buzz baits, and he pulls out what looked to me just like a little finesse jig, and he starts swimming it around some of these docks. And it was a little tiny jig. It was only like an 1/8 ounce, and it had a small light wire hook in it. And he caught, gosh, he must have caught at least 3 fish over 4 pounds, along with all the other fish that he caught. I mean, he really got on them with that fish. So I learned it from him, and I've taken it and ran with it since then, because the swim jig now, as everybody knows about it now, but for a long time, I would tell people when they ask, you know, what are you catching them on? I'd tell them a swim jig. The question would be, what the heck is a swim jig? Well, you know, really all it is, and it is a little bit particular. It's not built exactly like a casting jig or a flipping and pitching jig. You really look for a jig that's got a little bit of a cone type head, so it can really come through, especially aquatic vegetation. Now, this particular one, this is a Strike King Hack Attack swim jig. And it's got a cone shape at the nose, but it's a little bit wider at the base of the head. And I really like that, because now it helps it come off that hardwood. When it gets up on and it rolls over to come off a hardwood, that head is wide enough to keep that hook from laying down into the wood and hanging up. The weed guard on it has got a good angle to it, which I like. I don't trim the weed guard on these at all. It's soft enough. I just leave it like it is. The only thing I'll do is I'll spread it out. I want it fanned out. I don't want it all nice and tight where it's just barely over the tip of the hook. I want it fanned out, so when it does anything it does roll over, that weed guard will help keep that hook from rolling into the wood. So I'll fan my weed guard out, and I really only throw I throw 3 sizes. I really like a 1/4 ounce, and then 3/8 is an excellent weight too. You know, if I got a little wind or need to get a little deeper, or maybe some current that might be involved, and then the 1/2 ounce. Sometimes that's just a necessity when the conditions call for it. And I use about 3 different colors. I use a white, a black or black and blue, and a green pumpkin. If you've got those 3 colors and a couple of different sizes that you're comfortable throwing, with some matching trailers, and I just use, and there's a ton of trailers, believe me, there's a ton of trailers that work well. I like the Strike King Menace. It's got a great profile to it. It's got a body that you know, fills out the bait just about right for me, and it's got a tail action that I can use in 2 different ways. I can keep it flat like that, so the tails kick up and down, or I can thread this on where it's vertical, and it will swim a little bit more vertically, kind of up and down horizontally. Not horizontally, but vertically. So just get some matching trailers, and you know, my trailers, I keep them pretty basic too. You know, a white, green pumpkin, and a black, blue, and then I can accent it with a dip and dye pen or something like that if I need some chartreuse or orange or a different type of color on there that might help trigger some bites at the time. And you know, my setup is pretty much standard. I like, you know, I'll throw it on fluorocarbon or a copolymer type of line. It doesn't have to be braid, even though I do throw it on braid most of the time. Today I've got it on braid, and sometimes if the braid I feel is a little bit intrusive, I'll go with a, you know, braid to a fluorocarbon leader, and I might have the leader, you know, in that 15-pound range. But I've got this on 50-pound braid, and I just tie a trilene knot on it. I learned that knot from Bobby Barrett when I fished with him a long time ago, and you know, it was real easy, real simple to tie, and it didn't waste a lot of line on your tag end when you clipped it off. And I've never had it fail on me in the you know, the years that I've been fishing this thing, which have been quite a while. The rod and reel, it's like a pretty much a standard deal. I like a now you can go, if you're fishing braid, you do not have to have a heavy or a medium heavy rod. You can go down to a medium action rod that's got the proper tip action, and that braid, being as stiff and stout as it is going to get the fish out of the cover, and you can cast it very well. But this particular is a Lew's medium heavy. I don't even know all the particulars on it. 7'3", medium heavy, fast action. This has been an excellent all-around rod for me. I use a lot of Abu Garcia rods and reels, but this Lew's, I think it's the only Lew's I got in the box, but I really like it. This is a good one. And these Revo reels. This is a Revo. This is an older reel. They probably still make it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the price point on this particular one is now. This one's got a few years age on it. Just a Revo SX and a 6'4" to 1, and I don't get all particular on it if it's got to be an 8 to 1 or a 7.1 to 1, or, you know, I don't care. Look, I'm throwing it out there and I'm reeling it. I go back far enough to when the fastest reel on the market was a 5.3 to 1 round-sided Abu Garcia 5500C, and we caught fish back then just like we catch them now. So don't get all crazy about you know, what kind of the speed of your reel. It does help, you know, taking up line. It is an advantage at times, but believe me, you're going to catch fish. I don't care if it's a 5 point, you know, or a 3.8 to 1. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. You're still going to catch fish. But it does make it a little more comfortable, and you don't have to turn the reel handle quite so bad to wear yourself out over 8 or 9 hours of fishing during the day if the reel is a little bit faster. So I got a 6.4 to 1 on this one with the 50-pound braid, and I just like to bounce it off cover. Right now I'm doing this particular flat. There's no vegetation up, so I'm really bouncing it off a lot of wood, old buckbrush, old willow snags, and you know, I like that. It's easy to skip into a lot of different places. And I'm gonna take this white one right here and see if I can put one in the boat for you.